Hi guys, how we doing? Oh, rant alert. Okay, so I get that people do food reviews. I really, really do. And I get why they do some of them, especially the recipe reviews, because I've seen that are terrifying to look at. But there is one woman in particular that I've been watching that, you know, I get where she's coming from. I completely understand her. I understand her background. I understand where she learned to cook. I understand all of it. And I've been watching quite a few of these reviews that are ripping her to pieces. Well, it's all very well for you guys who are professional chefs, and as one myself, even though I'm not one anymore, you know, I can rip her apart as well. But number one, you don't live in this country. Okay? Number one. Before anything else, you don't live here. There is a cultural divide that you guys don't recognize. Also, number two, one of the reasons I didn't go into fine dining and become friends with a lot of other chefs was because they're twats. You're picky twats, and you forget that people actually have to feed their families. And they do the best they can with what they've got. Now, over here in the UK at the moment, people like nurses, firemen, police are using food banks to feed themselves because they can't afford to feed their families. What this woman is doing is showing them how to make the most of what they've got with as little as they can. They can't even afford to put on their cookers, let alone anything else, or heat their houses. Hospitals here are overrun to the point where they are assigning doctors to the car parks to look after people who are stuck in their cars and in the ambulances outside for 18 hours and more, because people are so sick from being malnourished and cold over the worst, not a great winter. See, what you might see as a dumpster fire, I see as a northern woman in the UK cooking the way that her mother did, the way her grandmother did, and the way that she was taught. Sure, you might not like her knife skills and you don't like the way that she cuts a carrot like this. Well, I can tell you something. There's hundreds of thousands of wives out there, housewives and people who cook at home, who actually do that because they don't want to mess up a board. They don't want to make a mess of the rest of the kitchen. So they'll sit there and actually pop their stuff straight into the pot. It's something that people do all across the world and have been doing for millennia. Okay? If someone's using mince in a soup, it's because they can't afford the meat. Okay? That's why she's done it. All right? Meat over here. That bit of mince, okay, just for the record, that piece of mince that she got, the bit of mince there, is almost a week's budget for some people to feed their families with. Okay? So I need you to put this into perspective for a second, that a lot of people over here don't even have a tenner to their name, £10, which is like $10 to their name, to be able to feed their families for a week. Let alone be able to get fancy cuts of beef, because beef over here at the moment is close to £25 a kilo. Okay? And that's even in the supermarkets. People don't have that sort of money, and they can't even afford the shin. Okay? It's not, money is just, no. They just don't have the money to do it. So if she's been able to go and get herself a packet mince, I understand she's got a big channel and she's probably got a nice little income coming in, and that's fine. But she's catering to people who live on council estates in government housing, who don't have any money, who can't feed their families at the moment. Okay? She's doing the best she can to show them what they could possibly do with what they can find and what they might be able to afford on a day-to-day basis. Sure, some of her things are questionable, but you know what? She's not a chef. She's a home cook. And it might surprise a lot of you to know that home cooks cook very, very differently to chefs. Very differently to chefs. To a point of terrifying to chefs. But I tell you what, those home cooks have probably got 30,000 different recipes in them that you wouldn't even thought of, because most of the time chefs only learn about the menu they're cooking at the time. Sure, some of us do more than that, or used to do more than that. Some of us got quite a good repertoire. The further you cook, the more places you will cook in, the better, you know, stuff you get in your head. But home cooks got to do it every day for a bunch of picky eaters who might eat 3 or 4 different meals in a day. But if you've got limited budget, limited resources, then you can't afford to do very much. And it's all very well for you guys to sit there and point fingers while you've got bulging wallets. But like I said, the people that she is catering towards do not have that. And like I said, her stuff is questionable. Some of it is quite questionable. I would question eating some of it. But it's what she and her family like. It's what the people who live around her eat. It's what people are living on. It's how they're surviving right now, because there is no living. There is only surviving. So have a little bit of humility when dealing with some of these channels, because honestly, it's smacked of some seriously entitled chefy bollocks to me, and you guys should know better. You really should. It's all very well having your own business that's doing amazing because of who you are, and having and being a private chef that gets paid just to cook for one family every, you know, whatever you fancy or they fancy every day. Some people don't have those options. Just think about that. Okay. It's just, I don't like bullying, and it felt a little like bullying. I've seen some roasting videos when it comes to reviews, and some of them downright deserve it. But this one person in particular, I don't think so. I don't think she does. Oh. And things like alphabet pasta don't exist here except in posh shops. Like posh delis in London. She's from the north of England. It's 5 hours away. She ain't gonna do that. She's probably not left her town apart to go to the seaside for a holiday, because that's what people do over here. Just before you start ripping people a new one, just think of the cultural differences. Maybe stick to your side of the pond when you want to rip someone a new one, or stick to the professional chefs instead of picking on the home cooks. You know, just because you wouldn't serve it in your restaurant doesn't mean that her family might not be really, really grateful for it for that night, because they might not have eaten for 2 days. Okay? I love you guys heaps. Just think before you open your big fat gobs, okay? Love ya.